Hello everyone, welcome back to another C++ video. Today we're going to be going over structs and using the struct data type and using some dynamically allocated memory with it as well. So I just have this little movie program here, and what we're going to try and do is just kind of store and save some data using our structure data type, which of course is one of the abstract data types. So we're going to be saving some information for some kind of movie theater scenario. So we'll create and use a struct here for basically the descriptions of our movie. So our struct will hold the information for the descriptions, and we'll go ahead and kind of use this data in a couple different things. So just a thing to know with structs, that there are two new operators we're going to be using, the period and the little dash and right arrow. Those are two characters. So these are going to be used to access field numbers inside of our structs and also inside of classes, which you'll learn soon enough, but classes are very similar. But we're going to stick with our structs. So let's just get started. First off here, I'm going to go ahead and declare a struct by typing in struct. And let's name this guy movie. So I have declared my data type here of a struct, and I named it movie. So that is, the type is called a movie. So now within a movie can have multiple different things. So that's why I chose movie. So let's say if we have a movie can have like a title, right, which would be like a string, or maybe a rating, either maybe a number or maybe like A through F. It has like a runtime, the length of the movie, in minutes, and has a bunch of other stuff. So let's just put in a couple things here. So let's make a string for the title. So the string will now hold the title of the movie. Let's go ahead and make a rating, that's a char. That will scale A to F or something. And then let's make a unsigned int here for the runtime, because it's going to be a positive number. So not dealing with any negative numbers. I don't know how I spelled this wrong. Unsigned. Jeez, okay. So now we have our struct here. Our struct of type movie. Our movie type has a title. It also has a rating, and it also has a runtime for right now. So now let's go ahead and try to use these. So the way we have these guys set up here, these variables, like our regular variables, is we first have a data type. So we have a string type, or we have a char type, or our int, or unsigned int, etc. And then we have our variable name. And then when we use our variable name, we are able to access and manipulate and pass it and do all kind of cool stuff. And so we can do a similar thing with our own type we have created here with using our struct of type movie, right? So if we just like with other things, if we start out declaring our type, our data type, and then our variable name, well, we can actually do the same thing here. So we have a type of movie, right? That's what we've created in the cyan. And if we name this like room 1, so this will correlate with maybe a movie playing in room 1. We can kind of think about it like that. So now we have a variable here called room 1, and now we can use this room 1 variable to kind of access our own data type, right? So I'll kind of get into that. So first, let's all make another one. So I made room 1 and room 2. So just like to use, if we were to try to change this title, well, we would use title and then set that to a string. But since we're not using a string type, we're using our movie type here. We're going to use our variable just in a similar way, but now we want to basically access what's inside our movie. So inside of our movie type, we have a string, we have a char, and we have an unsigned int. Right? So if we type in room 1, and then we go ahead and use our dot operator, which we're going to be dealing for right now, is our dot operator. The other one is for pointers, which I'll be getting into, but if we use our dot operator, so we have room 1 dot, well, now we're inside our kind of movie type, and now we can access each of these guys. So now we can access our title, we can access our rating, we can access our runtime for our movie in room 1. Our movies, correlating or specifying to room 1. So let's go ahead and set our title, and we are setting this to a string. So let's set this to like Finding Nemo or something. So now our title for the movie is Finding Nemo for room 1. So all these guys correlate to room 1. So let's go ahead and now use our dot operator again, and let's access the rating here. And let's give this an A. And room 1 again. We have one last variable in our movie, which is our runtime. And runtime is about 100 minutes. So remember, this guy is about in minutes. And so there we go. Now we have used our movie type of room 1 here, and we're able to access each of those things in our movie type, our title here, our rating, and our runtime. And all these guys are specific to room 1. So I'm going to go ahead and just quickly fill out for room 2. Okay, so I went ahead and filled out for room 2 here. So we can see now we have another variable here of the same type of movie with room 2. So room 2 will also have a title, runtime, and rating. But now we have two different rooms, right? So we have room 1 with its own information, its own title, own rating, own runtime that relate to this room 1. And for room 2, we have our own title, runtime, and rating. So this is kind of the idea behind structs, is we can create our own data type for these kind of abstract things like movies, cars, animals, or just good basic examples. You'll obviously be using these maybe in a bit different ways, but so basically we've created our own type that we can kind of reuse for things like this. So if we have different movies, each of these different movies can contain a title, rating, and runtime for each of them. And so when we declare variables in like normal like this, we just use the dot operator. However, we can also use pointers, and we can dynamically allocate a struct. So I'm going to go ahead and start out with that. So let's create some pointers now. So just like with anything else, we're going to start with our type. Sorry. And so just like with other pointers, right, we'd have our type and then the asterisk. And then the asterisk here would, let me just put an example on here. The asterisk would basically say that we are pointing. Right, so if we had a point like this, our variable here point, this would point to an integer type, right? So we have points to integer. So now if we want to point to a movie, well, we do a similar thing, and we're going to just put the asterisk there, and we'll name this room 3. So we're going to have a room 3 that will point to our structure in memory. And to basically fill this out, we can either set it to null pointer, or we can actually just set it to our piece of memory, our memory location, basically. So I'm going to make a new movie, because remember, using the new keyword dynamically allocates a piece of memory. It takes a chunk of memory, basically saves that for us, and then kind of returns that location and memory back to us. So that location is what room 3 holds. So I'm going to go ahead and make another one here. So we're going to make a movie for room 4. Equal new movie. So we've made two dynamically allocated structs here. And so just like in a similar fashion with these first guys, we can change these, what's inside our struct as well, right? So if we have our room 3 here, we can also access our title, rating, and runtime. It's just it will be a little different since we are using pointers. Since we are using pointers, we're no longer going to use our period, and we're going to go ahead and use our little arrow. And with our little arrow, the other operator here, so we have two. This one's regular, this one's for pointers. We're going to point to our title. And you can see here with Visual Studios, when you do that, it does pop up. And so if we hit title, we can just go ahead and change this like normal. So if we go ahead and, whoo, I cannot type right now, geez. It's too early. Okay. Alright, but we can access it just like that. So now we have accessed our location memory by pointing at it, and then we pointed at our title in that struct. and change that guy, and we can even do the same thing with the rest, right? So for our runtime here, go ahead and set that to 94 in minutes, and let's get our last variable here of our rating. It's gonna be another A. So yeah, so there's two different methods to kind of use these structs. So this one we have just declared a regular struct, and we're able to access each of the things inside of our movie type here. So our title, rating, and runtime, right? Title, rating, and runtime. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the room 4 values out. Okay, so with room 4 here, yeah, so I went ahead and finished for room 4. So for room 4, I just added another title, another runtime, and another rating for this different room. So we've got 4 rooms set up, kind of 4 different movies, and each of those movies now have their own information for that specified room. So now let's get into actually kind of using some of this stuff, right? So now we have kind of initialized this. Well, what if we want to kind of change stuff? Well, we can actually change stuff. So if the movie in room 1 was changing, well, we can go ahead and kind of update that. We gotta just change all of our information. So if we're changing the movie, well, we gotta change the title. So we could go ahead and enter a new title here, you know, movie, whatever, and that would change our title. And so we can kind of overwrite all our information. But again, we'd have to rewrite basically all over all the pieces, not just one. So if we were to change movies, we'd have to change our title, rating, and runtime. So we can also do the same thing even with our pointers as well. We're gonna change our title in room 4 as well. So our title is gonna get changed to The Room. Which, by the way, if you haven't heard or seen the movie The Room, I would look into it. It's quite fascinating and quite sad but funny. I don't know. But no, we gotta change the rest of these. So we're gonna change our runtime as well for this new movie. And our rating here, which we're gonna give it like a D. Because yes, it was not really a great movie. Alright, so now we have actually modified some of our values here. So that is one thing we can do, is modify them just like other variables. So we can change them and reinitialize them, etc. So along with modifying them, well, we can actually, possibly compare some of these values, right? So let's say if we want to see if 2 of these rooms are playing the same movie, if we have kind of duplicate movies playing. And so to do that, well, we can kind of use an if statement here, right, to see, well, does room 1 have to play the same movie maybe as room 4 or something? So the first instinct might be to try it like this, right? So if room 1 maybe is equal to room 2, then we'll go ahead and do something, right? But that is in fact not true. We cannot kind of do this. What does that mean? What is room 1? What is room 2? It's kind of, abstract. That's kind of the point here. We don't really know. There is stuff inside of these rooms that we can, possibly compare to see if they are the same. But we can't just kind of compare these rooms like that. So if we want to see if they're the same movie, well, if we compare their title here, if we access the title and compare room 1 title to room 2 title, well, this would now give us something to compare, right? Our title is a string, and our title is also a string. So we have our string title from room 1 and our string title from room 2, right? And now if these guys were equal, then they'd probably be the same movie. That means there'd be a duplicate, right? And so this is just an example of how to compare basically our structs. We have to access a field member to do any comparisons or to do modification or initialization for kind of everything, right? We can't just kind of use our room 2. And so we can actually do the same thing even with our pointers. So if we have room 3 here, we can also just go ahead and access our titles the same way. And so now we're going to be comparing our title and title, but these guys are being pointed at. There we go. Okay, so in room 3, we're pointing to our title, comparing it to our room 4 that we're pointing to our title. So those are a couple ways to do some comparisons. But now if we actually want to see something, because maybe you want to actually see what movies have the same rating. So I don't know, maybe if room 1 has the same rating as room 2, right? If these guys are true, well, we're going to go ahead and just, I don't know, maybe print them both out. And so if we go ahead and just run this real quick, well, we can actually see they are the same. They both have A. They both print out A. Cool. So now these guys don't have to be the same either. You know, we can check in room 4. What is room 4 pointing out, right? Sorry, rating, not title. So now we're comparing our rating from room 1 and our rating from room 4. Even though we're kind of using two different things, like a regular by value and a pointer, well, we can still compare these because we're comparing our ratings, right? The values in the ratings. And, you know, do the same thing here and just use that for printing. And so those are kind of the basic stuff for structs. So let's get into one of the last topics for this real quick. So along with like loops and other stuff we can nest and stuff, we can put them inside of each other. Well, we can actually nest our own data types, our own structs. So if we're to go up here and kind of create a new struct type and named it maybe ticket, right? This maybe would hold some information on the tickets sold for the movie. Geez. So let's say in our ticket, let's say we have just a value that will hold the number of tickets sold, and then the total sales for, I don't know, however, for the price for each ticket, the total profits, I don't know. So now we have a ticket type. Now this ticket type has our two variables of num sold and total sales. So now we are accounting for two things in our ticket type here. If we go into our movie type here, well, we can actually declare a ticket type within our movie type. So if we have a type of ticket, we're going to name that guy sales. So this guy is type of ticket. So it's going to have two things within inside of ticket, which is going to be inside of our movie here. So before I kind of show you how that works, let's also go ahead and use a function. So I'm going to go ahead and get this function set up, and I'll be back. Okay, so I've got a function set up here called ticket sold, and I have a function called down here. So let's kind of go through this real quick. So I have a void function. We're not going to return anything, so I don't have a return statement. I'm just showing you some stuff, so we're not returning. And now our function is going to take two parameters. It's going to take one type of movie. And in our function, it's going to be called temp room1. So that's what we're going to be dealing with here. And it's our type of movie. So we're passing in a type that we created of movie. And our second parameter is going to be passing a pointer to our type of movie. So temp room2 is going to be a pointer we're going to pass through that will point to our type of movie. So down here, we have both of those. We have a regular movie type, like room 1 and room 2, and we also have pointers, like room 3 and room 4, that point to our movie type. So down here in our function call, we're going to call ticket sold, and then let's pass room 2, which is our regular movie type, and room 4, which is our pointing to our movie type. So basically we're going to pass in room 2 and room 4. So room 2 will be temp room 1, room 4 will be temp room 2. So now I'll go through one of these with each of you. I just kind of had it set up. So now that we're in our function, we have now successfully passed both our movie type and both a pointer. So our temp room 1 is just our regular type. So if we want to now access our ticket sales, well, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to type our variable name, use our dot operator, and now we can access all four of these things: our title, our rating, our runtime, and even our sales. So if we access our sales here, which is that type of ticket, well, we can't just kind of access this and kind of type anything in. Our sales is another type, right? Our sales is type ticket. So now we actually have to go a layer further, a layer deeper. We got to nest a layer deeper. So our ticket now, or our sales is our ticket. So if we use our dot operator again on sales, where now we're going to access inside of our ticket here, which has our num sold. So we're going to go ahead and access that. and let's just add 1 for every ticket sold. So now we have successfully nested our ticket type in our movie type here. So we did a same thing kind of down here. We have temp_1, which accesses our sales, which accesses our other variable of total sales, which will basically just increase the uh, profits, on the tickets. And now for temp_2, temp_2 is a pointer to our type. So remember, we're going to have to use our other operators. So if we point to this, well, we can do the same thing and point again to either all 4 of these, our title, rating, runtime, or our sales. But we're going to mess with our sales here, and we're going to have our sales, right? And so remember, our sales is just a regular type of ticket, right? We don't have a pointer, we don't have anything, it's just a regular type. But our type here is pointing to a movie. So since we're pointing to a movie, we have to use our pointing operator for our movie type. But since our sales is regular, we're not going to use our pointer again, we're just going to use our regular dot operator. And now we're going to access our num sold in here. And we're going to go ahead and subtract 1 because no one's going to watch this movie of The Room. People are going to sell our tickets. And so we do the same thing. We point to our sales because we're pointing to our movie. So our sales is in our movie, so that's what we point to. And then remember, our sales is just a regular ticket, right? There's no pointing to our ticket, so we just use our regular dot to access both num sold and total sales here. And so we can also, if I were to just go through this, we can also make this guy a pointer. And if we made that guy a pointer, well, then we would have 2 pointers here. We would have a pointer pointing to a movie, which then would point to our ticket type, so it would point to these. So I would kind of mess around with that, but this is mostly it on structures. Kind of went through creating structures, nested structures, and initializing, declaring both a regular structure and a pointing structure. So hopefully this video kind of helped out on some of the basics of structures, on using them and manipulating them, creating them. But thanks so much for watching. If you guys are kind of liking some of these, please make sure to kind of give a sub and a like or something, just so I know that these are doing well, so I can continue to make more, because I like making these. So thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.